Let's stop pretending. AI isn't coming for your job because it's some magical super-intelligent entity that's suddenly smarter than every human on Earth. It's not replacing people out of pure technological destiny or because we're living in a sci-fi movie where machines rise up. The raw, uncomfortable reality is simpler and far more personal. Your employer never actually gave a single genuine care about you as a living, breathing person. Never. And if that realization stings, it should. It's supposed to wake you up. Recent events make this crystal clear. In 2025 alone, major tech companies laid off massive numbers of employees while pouring billions into AI infrastructure and efficiency gains. Look at the numbers. Intel cut around 27,000 roles. Microsoft eliminated about 15,000, 19,000 positions. Amazon slashed over 20,000, with waves of 14,000 in October and another 16,000 announced in early 2026, bringing recent corporate cuts to roughly 30,000. These aren't isolated incidents. Reports show AI was explicitly cited or heavily implied as a factor in tens of thousands of these reductions, with consulting firms like Challenger, Gray & Amp, Christmas attributing nearly 55,000 U.S. layoffs in 2025 directly to artificial intelligence. Companies are reallocating capital from human payroll to AI bets, flattening layers of management, automating routine work, and streamlining operations. The math doesn't lie, and the pink slips are the proof. You were sold a beautiful but false story your entire working life. The story said that if you worked hard enough, stayed loyal enough, gave enough of yourself, your evenings, your weekends, your mental health, even parts of your family life, then the system would take care of you. You'd earn security. You'd earn respect. You'd earn a future where you weren't constantly looking over your shoulder. You believed it because almost everyone around you believed it. Parents said it. Teachers implied it. Managers repeated it during onboarding. HR put it in glossy employee handbooks. And so you played along. You answered emails at midnight while your partner slept beside you. You canceled plans because a deadline couldn't wait. You pushed through illness because the team was counting on you. You told yourself it was temporary, that the sacrifice would pay off in promotions, in stability, in belonging. You internalized the idea that your worth was tied to how much you could produce, how little you complained, how seamlessly you fit into the machine. It was all a transaction dressed up as a relationship. Corporations do not feel gratitude. They do not experience loyalty the way humans do. They do not form emotional bonds. They calculate return on investment. You were never family. You were never one of the team in any meaningful, enduring way. You were a line item on a spreadsheet, a necessary cost until a cheaper, more predictable alternative appeared. And now that alternative has arrived in the form of AI. When the C-suite gathers behind closed doors, away from the all-hands meetings and the feel-good town halls, you do not appear as a person with a name, a story, a family, dreams, or struggles. You appear as numbers: base salary, benefits multiplier, payroll taxes, rising health insurance premiums that climb faster than inflation, accrued PTO that sits as a liability on the balance sheet, projected sick days, estimated burnout risk, potential legal exposure if you ever decide you've had enough and lawyer up, the administrative drag of managing your performance reviews, your feedback loops, your inevitable requests for flexibility. Every one of those elements is friction. And the people who get paid millions of dollars per year are paid precisely to remove friction from the system. AI removes almost all of it in one stroke. No salary negotiations. No annual raises that compound over time. No healthcare claims spiking the group rate. No maternity or paternity leave. No mental health days. No performance improvement plans that drag on for months. No emotional labor required from managers who have to support you through tough personal times. The machine simply runs. From the company's cold-eyed perspective, humans are a terrible investment class. You require consistent bi-weekly cash outflows. You expect incremental increases in compensation, or you start to disengage. Your body breaks down. Injuries, chronic conditions, mental health episodes, ordinary illnesses that knock you out for days or weeks. You get tired. After 10 or 12 hours of focused work, your output degrades. You get distracted by life, divorces, sick children, aging parents, financial stress, existential dread. You have emotions that spill over. Frustration when the workload becomes inhuman, anger when credit is stolen, grief when a loved one dies, joy that distracts you for an afternoon. You do things that are profoundly human and therefore profoundly inconvenient in a profit-maximizing environment. You complain when expectations are unrealistic. You ask for boundaries, for reasonable hours, for recognition that you exist outside the org chart. You push back against decisions that feel unethical or short-sighted. When the soul-crushing weight becomes too much, you quiet quit, showing up physically but withdrawing your discretionary effort. Or you rage quit, leaving a trail of public reviews and posts. All of it is understandable. All of it is normal. None of it is free. AI sidesteps every single one of those costs. It demands nothing emotionally or logistically. No motivation required, no validation, no team-building retreats, no birthday cards from HR. It does not unionize. It does not file harassment claims. It does not need therapy after a toxic manager raises their voice. It does not burn out at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling wondering if any of this matters. It does not take 2 weeks off and actually recharge. It simply executes 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, across every time zone simultaneously, scaling to millions of instances without a single complaint. And every day, the underlying models train on more data, they become incrementally more capable. While you're still fighting for a title bump from associate to senior, the system is rewriting its own capabilities in real time. Behind closed doors, the question every executive is already asking, and almost none will say aloud on an earnings call or all hands, is brutally straightforward. Why are we paying a human being 6 figures plus benefits when we can achieve 80% of the output for 5% of the cost, with zero drama, zero downtime, and zero risk of the asset walking out the door? That is not malice. That is mathematics. Capitalism has never pretended to run on sentiment. It runs on numbers that point upward. Your personal story, your loyalty, your sacrifices, none of them move the needle on a quarterly report. We love to celebrate human emotion in every context, except the one where it becomes expensive. Empathy, passion, purpose, authenticity. These are the ingredients of great art, deep friendships, meaningful love, social movements. They make life rich and worth living. But in the context of extracting maximum output at minimum cost, they are pure liability. Emotion introduces delay. People need time to process bad news or controversial decisions. It breeds conflict. 2 passionate people will fight over direction. It creates inconsistency. Yesterday you were unstoppable. Today you're grieving a loss and can barely focus. It injects risk. Emotional decisions can torpedo deals, alienate clients, ignite PR disasters. AI carries none of that weight. It does not hesitate. It does not second-guess itself into paralysis. It does not spiral at 2 in the morning wondering whether it's good enough. It executes. Cold, clean, relentless, indifferent to everything except the prompt and the objective. The most dangerous sentence still spoken in conference rooms and coffee chats is this one. AI can't do what I do. Those are famous last words. History is littered with professions that said the exact same thing right before the economics shifted under their feet. AI does not need to outperform you in creativity, nuance, or soul. It only needs to be cheaper, faster, and reliable enough. Good enough at infinite scale defeats excellent at human-limited scale almost every time. If one AI deployment plus 2 human supervisors can replace 10 full-time roles, the spreadsheet lights up green. The humans do not get a vote. Factories learned this lesson decades ago. Robots do not file workers' compensation claims. They do not develop carpal tunnel or back injuries from repetitive motion. They do not demand overtime premiums. They do not walk off the line when the supervisor is abusive. Blue-collar work was gutted first. White-collar workers watched from the sidelines, convinced that thinking and creating made them untouchable. They were simply later in the queue. The real betrayal was never the arrival of AI. The betrayal was the decades-long con that convinced you your loyalty mattered, that hard work guaranteed safety, that your job was an extension of your identity and worth. You were only irreplaceable while the cost of replacement exceeded the cost of retention. Recruitment fees, training time, knowledge loss, cultural disruption. Once that equation flipped, the illusion evaporated. You have always been replaceable. You were simply conditioned not to see it. Blacksmiths gave way to industrial machinery. Typists vanished under word processors and personal computers. Travel agents were disintermediated by online booking engines. Video store clerks were erased by streaming. Cashiers are being replaced by self-checkout kiosks and mobile payment. None of those people were lazy, incompetent, or unworthy. The underlying economics changed. The system does not mourn. It optimizes. So what remains for humans who want to eat and pay rent in the decade ahead? Pure execution, following instructions, repeating known patterns, producing predictable outputs, is dying. Anything that can be described clearly enough to be turned into a prompt or a workflow is now in competition with a tireless, egoless, complaint-free alternative. The narrow band of durable human advantage lies in the areas machines still handle poorly or expensively, setting strategic direction when the map is blank and the fog is thick, making irreversible judgment calls with incomplete, contradictory, emotionally charged information, building and sustaining genuine human trust, the kind that survives disappointment, betrayal, bad quarters, influencing, persuading, and moving other humans through emotion, politics, charisma, shared values, creating new frames of meaning in a world flooded with cheap, commoditized content, taking real, personal risk, skin in the game, not just time for money, owning outcomes instead of renting hours. In short, people who operate get automated. People who own direction, relationships, risk, meaning, have a fighting chance. This is not a pep talk. It is not comfort food. It is a cold splash of reality. Stop asking the passive, victim-framed question, "Will AI take my job?" That question keeps you frozen, waiting for the axe. Ask instead the questions that force agency. Why did I ever believe my employer gave a genuine care about me beyond temporary arithmetic? How do I stop being fungible labor and start becoming structural leverage? Once those questions take root, your behavior changes. You stop polishing your resume for the next treadmill. You stop chasing retention bonuses that vanish in the next layoff round. You start building things that cannot be copy-pasted by a better prompt. Unique networks, proprietary insight, personal brand, ownership stakes, side ventures, real-world relationships that carry weight. The naked truth is this: AI is not here to annihilate humanity. It is here to hold up an unforgiving mirror and show us exactly how cheaply we allowed ourselves to be rented. That mirror burns. It should burn. Because the moment you feel the sting, you stop waiting to be valued. You stop asking permission. You stop acting like a tenant in your own career. Pain is information. Fear is fuel. Anger is rocket propellant. AI did not murder your future. It executed your illusions. And those illusions were the only thing keeping you docile, loyal, and easy to exploit. You do not survive what's coming by being the most agreeable person in the organization. You survive by becoming so ruthlessly, undeniably valuable in ways that remain expensive or impossible to replicate at scale, that rational actors fight to keep you in their orbit. Not because you are human, not because you deserve it, but because you finally stopped behaving as though you were expendable. The clock is ticking. Decide what you will build while there is still time.